Okay, today we're going to actually start the bridge construction project, actually cutting out items and trusses to be used to build your bridge. I assume that by now you've gotten into My Big Campus and you're watching this video, which was located on there. Your file that you will be using for your instructions is also on My Big Campus, the Geometry of Bridge Building. If you go scroll down the screen, you should be able to find document IA1.pdf. If you open up that document, you need to download the file first, and you'll recognize this as the file that we used last week. At least I showed you a little bit last week. This is the document that we're going to be using to build this bridge. If you'll notice on here that there's a model that says build a model of the truss bridge, and there's a lot of information on here that we're going to skip over today that we are going to use later on. Really what I want you to do right away is to scroll down to page 14. It's actually labeled 1-14, and it has some information on there that you all need to know about. So we'll get down there, that's page 6 and 7. We'll scroll down until we get to page 14. Here's page 14. You'll notice that, whoops, that's actually page 15. Excuse me, let me back up to page 14. Here is a list of all of the truss members that you're going to have to make for your bridge. You'll notice that on this, they talk about the size of each one of the bottom chords, the diagonals, the verticals, all of these things. We're going to talk about exactly what these things are. But right now, today, you just need to work very carefully to cut these out. When you get to the type, it tells you exactly what the size is. That's a 4mm bar. That's a 4mm bar down there. 10mm by 10mm tube. 6mm by 10mm tube, and so forth. You'll notice over here it tells the length. Now the longest ones are asking for 30 centimeters. These file folders are a little bit short of 30 centimeters, but they will still work just fine. So where it talks about using a 30 centimeter length, you're basically just going to cut the whole length or sideways width of the file folder. And you'll notice if you measure that, it comes out to about 29.5. But if you match that up with your construction plan, you'll see that it's plenty wide enough for the two long pieces that we'll be using on this. So anyway, so 30 centimeters is close for the length. All the rest of them you should be able to get with no problem cutting them out. If you scroll down from this page and you go down, you're also going to find a list of the gusset plates. Now the gusset plates are the things that actually are going to connect the trusses together. And if you scroll down further, you're going to see a page with the gusset plates on it. It's this page right here. It looks like this. You'll see that they're marked. I have given you, printed off for you, those two pages. You are also going to cut those out today. The way that's done is to put the gusset plate, use tape, glue, something, but I really recommend tape. Tape the gusset plate to the file folder and then use that to cut out your gusset plates. Just lay it right on top of the file folder and start cutting along the lines to make your gusset plates. There's quite a few of those. You'll probably end up using scissors to cut those out, but you need to be very careful and make sure that they're exactly the right thing. I would even go through and mark them to make sure that you're marking them correctly, so work with your partner to make sure that you have all these things. But that's on that page. And then when you get past that page, on page 18, it starts talking about what the plan is, talks about the items that you're going to need. But then when you get down to page 20 will actually start giving you the instructions, what the plan is. And it starts here, prefabricate the cultural members and connections. prefabricate the bars, and it talks about step 1, step 2, step 3. Follow those directions very specifically. The substitute should be able to help you interpret this, and with the pictures, you should be able to figure out exactly what they're asking you to do. If you go through, they're going to ask you to prefabricate the bars and the tubes. They're giving you some of the instructions on the tubes here on page 20. Keep going down to page 21. We don't have T-squares for you to use. You're going to have to do the measurements separately on those. You should be able to do those with no problem. You've drawn those tubes and you can start cutting them out. You want to make sure that they lay out so that you know exactly how many you have. These are the tubes laid out, so you should be able to make sure that you have all the tubes. Then it says to start folding the tubes and putting them together. All right, you can start doing that if you get to this point, but again, I don't want you to rush through this project, so make sure, count several times to make sure you have all your pieces and everything is marked properly. Shows here how to glue those together, how to do that. Really getting much past this is further than I expect that you will, and really I wouldn't go too much further than cutting out the gussets. Here they show cutting out the gussets, and really here's the prefabrication of all of the items that you need for building this bridge. You've got your gusset plates down on the bottom. You've got your tubes that they've already put together on the right-hand side up above. And then you've got your other trusses over here. So again, let me point to these down here. These are your truss members, the real long pieces. You've got these longer tubes here, little shorter tubes. You've got different gusset plates all along here for all the things that you will need to build this. This is exactly where I'd like you to be able to get by the end of the day. If not, we'll keep working on it tomorrow. But really, this is where I would like you to stop. Page number 24, item number 15. If you get that far, that would be great. If not, we'll continue it on Tuesday. The substitute does have a blue 3-ring binder up on the podium that gives you, has a hard copy of all these instructions, just in case you don't understand. He can kind of help you figure that out. Again, that's up on the podium. Everything is labeled up there, and he or she can surely help you. If you have questions, I'll be back on Tuesday.